trying to avoid another structure.
Yeah, there would be no heavy structure there. It would be all landscaping.
I mean, as long as it's not concrete, or I mean, if it's pervious or
Well,
impervious,
if it's
makes a
concrete,
difference.
I don't think they're even close to the 50%.
Oh, no.
No, I'm not talking about the 50%, but I'm talking about an additional, it's going to be a structure that will be within that 25 feet from the lake.
Not a structure.
It's not over 30
Not a
inches.
structure.
And,
according to
and
what-
It's not a
and
structure.
that's what I'm trying to make sure. If it's not a structure, then it's fine. But if it is a structure, because it just says proposed deck,
Yeah, I should have called that terrace. I think it's really, it's going to be if anything, it'll be a stone set on grade.
so it'd be pervious, more likely not than a, I mean, because, I mean, anything that's set concrete, whatever, it is considered a structure.
Yeah, I don't want it high though.
Seawall and everything.
Yeah.
And that would actually be, related to a definite variance as far as anything going down beside the lake. And then the other question I have is just 256 square feet. I know the ordinance calls for 250 feet. I know you're going 6 feet over if it's 16 by 16.
Yeah, we could squeeze that 6 feet out if you'd like.
And I'm just trying to go by the papers. So.
Yeah.
All right. I have no other questions then.
Any other questions from the board? Any comments or questions from the public?
Yes, my name's Richard Starkey, and I'm with my wife Janet Starkey and her sister Julie Ball, and we're owners at 1746 East Shore, just south of this property. And it looks to us like this would not be a problem, but the one question we did have, we wanted to make sure, we're under the impression that there's a public easement along the whole shoreline, and we wanted to make sure that you're able to actually traverse that area where the boathouse is.
We've been down that road about 150 times, and I cannot find any public easement. There's people who believe there was a sidewalk and a walkway around the east side of the lake, and I have researched it. I have asked someone to show me it, and it just doesn't exist in any records that have ever been found.
Really? Because I mean, our family's had this lake house since 1944, and we've always traversed. There's always been a public easement. People.
I think it was just by agreement of the East Shore people.
Really?
Well, in any case, would one be able to traverse across this 30 feet between the lake and where the boathouse is?
I can speak to that. Currently, the slope right up against the seawall is there's a very narrow space that you could walk. It's pretty treacherous, but it comes up pretty. It slopes up very quickly. As far as the structure is concerned, that's far less of a hindrance than that slope. So yes, you could walk in front of it as you can now. Whether you really want to or not, it's kind of a tough walk. I mean, I walked it myself before any construction had started there, and you may be referring to something. We're up here. I'm off of Lake Michigan here. The water's edge belongs to everybody. Is how I understand it. Everybody can walk it. I don't know if that's the same with your lake down there, but in the Great Lakes, that's the situation. The private property starts, basically within walking distance inside. So that may be what you're referring to. I don't know if it would necessarily be considered a true easement or not, because that would show up on a plat of survey, and that didn't come up in our legal docs. But in terms of you physically being able to pass, we're not altering the way it is now.
Okay.
Other than the dock, you'd have to step over their dock.
Okay, I mean, growing up here, it's always felt, something like community to be able to traverse the front of the lake. I mean, a lot of new people aren't aware of it, but there's always been steps and maybe it was never recorded, but we've always been able to go along the East Shore, and people have walkways. We have gates. So anyway, it just adds to a sense of community on the East Shore, and a lot of new houses. And I really appreciate that you're blending in well and with the character and the landscape. I really appreciate that, because the old East Shore is a really, it's a beautiful and precious place. So I really appreciate that.
Oh, well,
But
thank you, Mike.
that was our only concern.
Yeah, there's something, I'm familiar with that concept. I don't know if anyone's ever been up to Lake Geneva up in Wisconsin, but there's a path that runs the entire perimeter of that lake that is public. And, you can be out on your little patio enjoying your family picnic, and, flock of strangers can go by right between you and the water. So it's not uncommon at all.
Yeah. Well, we never knew them as strangers. They were neighbors. So.
Well, no, I know. But you can encircle the lake, so yes. No,
Hopefully owners are cordial, community-like people. So, yeah, we just like to keep it friendly.
Sure.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Are we ready to move to finding of facts? Again, this is case number 2020 B59046.
Hey, Dan.
Pardon me?
Dan, this is Lee.
Yes, Lee.
Before you do that, can I just ask Barry? Barry, are you really concerned about that 256 square feet as opposed to 250? I mean, in terms of once we get to this motion, are you passing it as is, or?
If I don't like to be just lenient as far as extra square footage when it says two. I don't want to argue over 6 feet, honestly.
Okay. All right.
But I don't want to start something that's not right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, if we have the ordinance set up at 250 square feet, I think that it needs to be included in the variance as well, as far as the additional 6 feet is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I just wanted to hear you say that and clarify it, so when we're into making motions, that's what it looks like.
And I appreciate that.
Okay, sorry. I just wanted to hear him clarify what he had an issue with.
Yes.
Barry, just to go back to what you said, I don't look at that as 256 square feet above the ground. This is basically a cave. And so 256 feet actually could come from the inside of those walls. If so, they could dig a hole back there 256 square feet and it would be just fine. So their space inside, I think, is different than if we put this above ground. If we put it above ground, then you measure from outside to outside. When it's down in the ground, you got to look at the inside of it as to what their usable space is. I think that the way they have asked for 256 square feet, we should let that stay as it is, because it's underground, not above and protruding out.
Right, but I know we've had the discussion before as far as a structure when they were trying to come up with a definition of a structure, and this is still a structure.
If it's underground,
it's still considered a structure.
I don't agree
Is your
with you.
basement, then the basement's not considered a structure?
If you put a cap on that and put dirt over the top of it, it's no more of a structure than it was before the dirt got moved.
I don't agree with that.
It's above the ground.
If that's the case, then we'd have no say-so. It's not the time for the for discussion, but I know if you're going to put the concrete in the ground, make a structure, I mean, regardless whether it's up, because, I mean, even for a seawall, you know, we're talking 30 inches up, but it's considered a structure even though it's poured in the ground. But if that structure, we don't have a restriction on the width as far as what's in the ground, no. But as far as this being a structure, I mean, what size cap is it going to have on top of it? And it's going to be a usable cap with the railing. And what size is that?
Pavers out there, and it's not.
I'm not arguing over 6 feet. I'm just arguing over the actual black and white printing of it so that it would be covered for the 6 feet. I'm not disagreeing, but I mean, if we're going to have the definition of a structure and use that in any case, I think that this should be considered a structure as far as intent when the ordinance is written.
Well, we may have to agree to disagree on that because I would argue all day long. When you go to the state.
I know.
Wait just a second, please let me finish. When you go to the state to get a construction design release, you can do anything up to ground level without even getting a permit. Okay? So the state has set a precedent when it comes to that.
But the state can be more lenient and towns and counties can be more strict, but it can't be the other way around.
Not if you don't have strict definitions.
And we have a definition. Like I say, it's not the time to discuss it. We just take care of this.
Yes. Let's move to the finding of facts. Number one, the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. Ms. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. McManaway?
Yes.
Mr. Ubler?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Number two, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. Ms. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. McManaway?
Yes.
Mr. Ubler?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Number three, the strict application of the terms of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. Ms. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. McManaway?
Yes.
Mr. Ubler?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. I would entertain a motion that we approve this variance.
I move we approve this variance as written.
This is JD Ubler. I second.
Okay. It's been moved and properly seconded. We approve this variance. Any further discussion? How do you
Yes,
vote?
I just want.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. McManaway.
I still would like the 256 be included in that for record.
It is. It's in there.
Yeah, the 256 is in the variance, Barry.
Yeah, I mean, as far as it's part of the variance approved.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Okay, how do you vote on the variance, Ms. Marshall?
Yes.
Mr. McManaway?
Yes.
Mr. Ubler?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Variance is approved 4-0.
We thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Yes,
Thanks, Mr.
appreciate it.
Easton.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Hackley. I think he's already gone.
No, I'm still here. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on. Old business. Of course, we already have petition 2020-002B coming at our June meeting, which will be June 18th. Do we know of any others, Mr. DeWitt?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Mr.
Mr. Easterday, do you have another
Yes,
petition
I
coming to
filed
us?
one. I filed one this week.
Okay. Okay. old business. Any other business we need to talk about here? Thought I had a question about something. Now, what was it?
I was just gonna say, I think I've told everyone, but as far as meetings go for June, we're kind of waiting to see what the state's gonna say. Right now, the ability to meet online and in this format kind of ends, I think, June 4th. So if they extend it, we may try to meet online again. If they don't, my thought is that if at least 3 of you have to be here, or 5 of you, that you all would be able to be in here, or another location. I think since we already have one that we've done the advertisement for, we'll probably put you 5 in here, we'll spread it out, and then we'll encourage the petitioners and the public to still join online. So,
Did everybody hear what
sorry, I'm way
Mr. List was saying?
Yes, I did.
So we don't know exactly where it's going to be next month. We'll just play it by ear for right now. Do you have anything for us, Mr. DeWitt, as far as?
Nothing else at this time.
I was talking about the new system of numbering. I wonder if it would be advantageous to put, I like to have them so I know where it was in the year, and then add the other number at the end.
Done.
Would that be a problem?
What I do when the county puts it in there, to enter exact number, we do the actual notice, and that comes to you guys.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Dan, can you tell me what Jonathan just said, because I couldn't hear him?
We were talking about the new numbering system on the cases.
Right.
And I prefer the old method where we have a 2020-003B. So I knew where it came with these random numbers, and I don't know exactly, it's a number that's generated by the county. And rhyme or reason, I can't figure it out, but they're definitely not in any kind of order. And I have proposed that maybe we do it with like for instance, the one we just finished would be 2020-005, I think, B, and then 59046 at the end. So we have both those systems in there. And Jonathan said we could probably do that without any problem.
Okay, so do you want me to label them that way when I do the minutes then?
You don't have to on this one. You can if you want
I
to.
would say, yeah, because I'll change.
I would suggest
Okay.
putting
Yes.
both numbers on it.
Well, yeah, put both numbers. That's what I mean. I'll put both
Right.
numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this would be 005B. And the other one that we said didn't need a variance would be 004B.
Gotcha. Yep. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Any other concerns, questions? Did we ever find Mr. Osborne?
In my text that he heard everything, but he was having problems speaking, so I don't know what,
Okay.
had some technical issues, but he was
Okay.
on and was watching at least, so.
Dan, it's
Oh,
JD. I'm not,
Dan? Yes.
sorry.
No, that's fine.
I'm not sure if this is old business or new, where we are, but when Mr. Easterday brought up the 30 inches and then we really never talked about it in the last case, it seems like we do need to have a conversation about how we will apply a standard that's obviously in the ordinance. At some point, not tonight necessarily, but I do want it on the record that potentially this is something that needs to be discussed further.
Well, it sounds like the reason that the zoning board put it in that way is so that they can take a look at whatever's coming in as far as boathouses and not have it done. I don't know if that's good, bad, or whatever, but if it's in the ordinance, we have to go with, we don't have any control over that. We can just rule on what's in the ordinance.
I agree with JD though. It's very squishy. This came up one time before, and I remember that I thought that ordinance was so weird, just from the description of the allowable structure. It sometimes it makes you feel uncomfortable about what kind of boathouses will end up along the shore of the lake. But that's something Planning Commission has to do, right? Not us.
Yeah, the
Can I
plan
comment on
commission
that?
Yeah.
would make the changes.
I'd like to comment for both of you in a position that I'm in as far as both boards here, both committees. But as far as this deal here, I think maybe it might be discussed with the Planning Commission, and I think that we've always had the problem of not sharing enough information between us, and I think that that's probably what we need to do on some of this stuff is probably, the skeptical or not skeptical, but trying to think of the actual word would be it, but it'd be some confusion, as far as interpretation. And I think that the Planning Commission and the Board of Zoning should get together on some of this, whether it be intent, wording, and sometimes it might even be better, but I know it's Planning Commission's job. But I just don't think there's enough information that has ever been communication. And I think that's the biggest problem we've got. And it's been a problem for a while, and I'm as guilty as anybody else. But I think that would probably be a big solution to a lot of the confusion that seems to be coming up.
But Mr. McMahon, well, you've been on the Plan Commission. What was the idea behind the 30 inches?
The 30 inches was basically, there was a lot of complaints between lake people and the public that weren't, because they felt like they wanted part of the lake. But the 30 inches was to keep down the structure as far as blocking the view actually from the lake. And as a town's perspective, the lake is pretty much the most valuable asset that Culver has got. And I think that protecting the people's view, the people being able to see what the lake is and everything else, and that's why the complaints were always coming in as far as the view itself. And then we do have to deal with the view between property owners on the lakes as well. But the 30-inch minimum height is to stop that blocking of the view of the lake, closing it off from the public.
Well, where did they come up with and that's just
The
a,
30 inches?
yeah, that seems like a strange height for any kind of structure.
Well, when
Dan-
it comes to a structure, it was a definition of a structure being anything that's built permanently. And that's that. I mean, if you look under in the ordinance as far as definitions under structure, and a seawall was considered a structure. So by holding the seawalls to 30 inches or any other structure within that 25 feet setback. So
Page
you
83.
would be holding.
Yeah, Dan, I don't know if you're with the book, it's on page 83, it's the second paragraph. And I remember having the discussion, I think it was with Chuck one time, and it was something similar to this or whatever, and I remember sitting there with Chuck going, what does this mean? 30 inches high.
I was reading it this morning.
Yeah.
Chuck could probably explain that because I know he deals with it, as far as on site. I think over here on the west side, I think we had an issue, wasn't it, for Chuck, a patio or something?
Yep.
It was a wall around the patio, but we need to have a better clarification, because if the same cases are coming before the BZA all the time, that should tell us, and they're being passed, that should tell us that our plan that we're following is not well defined. Therefore, we have the same cases. So let's get a definition and lower the number of cases that we have. Is that correct, Mr.
Right,
East?
and right, Chuck. And that's my whole point too. That's what I'm talking about. Is communication between when it is written to make sure it's all everybody understands. I mean, I think the communication is where the problem is too. But you are right.
So does the BZA need to go to Planning Commission and say, we're seeing these and we want you to define this, give us a better definition? Is that the process? What has to happen?
I think you just the process, because your representative to the Plan Commission is listening and speaking right now. So he should be taking it back to the Plan Commission to get a better understanding and clarification.
but it has always been a good suggestion. I mean, I'm not saying this is a protocol, way to go, anything like that, but Lee, you're right. I mean, honestly, I think any member that's on any committee that is given oath to do their part as far as any committee that you get on, you know, and I think a lot of it is the information, like go to the town council meetings, go to, you know, and I'm not saying attend every one of them. I mean, I know, you know, these jobs here that we've got, they're volunteer. And so you have to be, and you are. I mean, everybody here, and I commend everybody being committed and you know, respectfully, they do a wonderful, wonderful thing for the town. And it is volunteer. And I mean, I wouldn't ask everybody to take all your time to come to every meeting, but I think there's that is one step, you know, to attend some of the meetings, ask questions. Like, you might have questions that I wouldn't have. And I know we're both on the BZA, but I'm on the Planning Commission. And I wouldn't necessarily bring these things up in the Planning Commission unless I wasn't addressed, which, like this here, I am, and I will. But if you have questions anytime, I mean, feel free to come to a Planning Commission meeting. Anybody that's on BZA or Technical Review Committee, anything that would want to come to a Planning Commission meeting, you know, and bring questions. Anytime we got citizen input, whatever, I mean, bring it up, because I mean, that's what we're there for. That's what we're here for now. And that's the way I feel about it.
Lee, Barry, what I think we're going to do is put that on the agenda for the Plan Commission. I will have a line item there for it, and so that we can speak about it at the Plan Commission and try to get a better clarification from them. Okay.
I think it's necessary. I do, and I think that'd be wonderful. So please. And I think we've got other issues as well, and I'll probably give you a call later this week about that.
All right, thank you.
Or next week.
Any other questions, comments? If not, this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
I vote yes.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
See ya.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's something about the, I don't want the